Hopefully, we will upload this video, and I only want to warn those people who will watch it. You have to become a moral human being before pranayama practice. If you do not live in good consciousness and try to practice yoga, not living in good consciousness is understood well by everyone, isn't it? That's the human being who does the elbow work, putting it mildly, following his own ambitions, who takes what belongs to others, etc. Simply Google the yama-niyama conception and study the recommendations sadhaki or yogi has to follow before starting to practice. So, only if you live according to consciousness and not go over the head, I recommend you to do the pranayama you are going to hear about. Otherwise, trust me, you can achieve the results which you did not even expect. A concept of a tiger can be employed to describe the pranayamas. The huge animal is up to 5 meters in length, hefty with such great teeth. If one sits astride a tiger like a horse, the one can promptly arrive to the point on which one seeks to ascend. But if you are putting it mildly imperfect and the tiger can feel it, you know what can happen? There won't be anything left of him. Not talking about the tiger, but about the one who tries a tigerback riding. Appropriately, this concept says that the pranayama is a powerful energetic tool which is forbidden to be passed to an unprepared person. But, since all the people are different and we live in a society, while mildly speaking indecent notions are implanted, and the society is led to a crusher in this form or another one, we bear to impart the knowledge which is essential and possibly can change the course of someone's evolution on this planet. It has not to move in the direction of degradation through endless pleasure, but to stick to the path of self-improvement, the path of asceticism, and to attempt to modify the energies around the man. As common subject has a significant importance. I try not to enlarge on pranayamas much, but this place is particular. This is the Bodhi tree under which the Buddha himself used to practice. Certainly, you've heard about the idea of pranayama or breathing exercises, which allows a person to accumulate the energy. The key point is that the Buddha himself practiced on this exact spot, and he used practices that had allowed him to reach an unincredible level. According to the different estimates, this tree is by the 5th or 7th reincarnation of the primordial one. But the important part is that, as per legend, the place still keeps the energy of the Kashyapa Buddha, not to mention Shakyamuni Buddha. And according to tradition, that's the place where all the Tathagatas who were able to achieve self-realization in this world used to practice. Moreover, future Maitreya Buddha who is coming to this world will also practice at this spot. That's why it's important to learn how to practice exactly here. Surely you know that there are different schools, currents, concepts, and breathing exercises are approached differently. Different schools, mindlessly speaking, approached in different ways. There are practices, or rather schools, that say, putting it simply, that you need to go from right to left. Others say from left to right. I mean, in terms of pranayama perception. Of course, it's reality. By experience, unlike methods that are employed by different paramparas lead to more or less the same effect. But what's the most important in this case? If we climb the mountain on the trail that goes clockwise, one day we will reach the summit. Or we can opt the counterclockwise way. Still, we will reach the top. The only question is how long it takes us to culminate. Got it? Thus, the most reliable transmission line is looked for. So, there is such term as parampara. Heard of it? No? You know what it means? Well, in 2 words, that's a succession, when the teacher transmits some notion to the student, and relying on the knowledge of the teacher, the student starts practicing successfully or not. That's the meaning of parampara. So the parampara which Shakyamuni Tathagata relates to is considered to be one of the greatest not only on this planet. This is the intergalactic parampara. I'll give you an example. The gods of Brahma, the creators of quite a number of the worlds, or Svaroks as they are called by Rusiches, flew together from different galaxies to hear Buddha's speech. That is to say that he attained the realizations of the incredible heights, and that was Buddha who gave the practice which is partly described in the sutra Apanasati Sutta. Google Apanasati Sutta and you can familiarize yourself with the base of the technique as the Buddha instructed his followers how to control the mind or even stop it. You know, the wind of the mind, when your mind is disturbed by one thought, then another one, then third one comes, and there is no rest. So in order to achieve some peace, Buddha used a certain practice. Sri Lanka Theravada monks were able to preserve the practice up to nowadays. It as the practice just got spread out from Sri Lanka. Not now exactly, but quite a good number of years ago. But there are people in Russia who practice this technique. Moreover, I dwell on this particular technique on this spot as many years ago when I began practicing this method allowed me to exit the body. And trust me, that was a totally flip of my worldviews that the society had brought up in me. Well, imagine a normal social person who strives for what he is aimed at, moreover he is pushed, and then suddenly the individual comes out of his physical structure and perfectly understands that the body is just a great biological machine that accommodates him. Believe me or not, the reality is identical to Avatar, the movie. Only a human being is precisely the same avatar. Thanks to the pranayama practice, I could gain some experience, proving that one's personality and body are simply a temporary concourse of the circumstances. Now you inhabit the body. After a while, you may find yourself in another body, and indeed I have accumulated some experience. Correspondingly, I can assure you that you can achieve results if you practice this pranayama and exert every endeavor. The path of self-development necessarily includes an asceticism practice. There is no way to advance on the way of self-development without asceticism. Let's consider the antonym. What's opposite to it? What are the options? Pleasure, enjoyment, right? Have you ever seen at least one person who has achieved whatsoever through pleasure? Here he is satisfying his passions, stuffing himself, embracing till sick. Here he is satisfying his passions, stuffing himself, embracing till sick to death of it, engaging in sex till skin erases. And what's the achievement? Nothing but a temporary pleasure. And at specified time, person realizes that he has been abused, got mauled like a chew toy, and that's it. And the man was left with nothing, back at the bottom of the ladder. That's why there is such a concept as austerity that can change energy of the person. This is not my idea. Read any literature on this subject and believe me, you will come across the term. One can change the energy of both his own and the surrounding areas through austerity only, through a certain self-restraint system. There is nothing you can do without it. Nevertheless, austerity as a tool is not suitable for everyone. There are some beings that have to reincarnate downwards according to their karma. No doubts, those beings will discover some ancient scriptures which make literally 10% of total amount, but nevertheless they will hold a solid opinion in the righteousness of those 10%, and everything else seems to be nonsense to them. According to their point of view, one has to feast the senses and live life to the widest, and that's the way to the perfection in yoga. There are these kinds of concepts. In particular, you might have heard of Tantra, haven't you? The majority of present-day society, which is around 90% of people, associates the idea of Tantra with what? A sexual pleasure. Trust me, there are quite a number of schools having this concept as a base, stating that there are scriptures that deny progress on the path without getting a satisfaction with a woman. Correspondingly, some sort of arguments are given on the theme, but it's all quite irrelevant. All it can be used on a certain stage. The sole question is whom it's suitable for. If a person, being unprepared, tries to approach certain sexual practices, he'll be duped, since the energy of Swadhisthana chakra level is so powerful, it tricks harshly. The man is back where he started. Anyway, some may need to get through that, so let them do just as they wish. We do not condemn them, I'm just establishing a fact. The word Tantra has been mentioned in the biography of Yeshe Tsogyal. It all depends on the translators for sure, but let's draw our attention to the austerities and trainings she had been practiced by Yeshe Tsogyal before she went for Tantra, and to all the trials she got through to reach a Vajra body. Certainly, a person of the Yeshe Tsogyal level can be engaged in Tantra. Imagine what kind of energy surrounds her. If the arrow that was pointed at her eye got rebounded. Or another example of a being who is able to sit on a glacier for months and does not freeze. For sure, this kind of people is capable to collect any addictions, absorb them inwards, and transform those energies. But to my great regret, only those who are drawn into pleasures incline to Tantra, and they assign a principal importance to pleasures, not to hypothetical results they can get practicing in accord with the books. This is the main problem. Coming back to the pranayama, which is called Apanasati Hinayana. This very ancient technique helps a man control his restless mind. If you see some readings such as Yoga Vasishtha, you will figure out that the mind is one of the greatest troubles. Bhagavad Gita is narrating about Arjuna's talk with Krishna. Krishna, what should I do with my mind that jumps up and down without any restraint? Krishna answered to that, there is such and such technique that works on your concentration first. Then you can put much energy in control of certain processions around you, which is achievable. There is a direct correlation with what we are talking about today. Work of the mind directly depends on the energy of people close to you. Oh wait, sorry. Work of the mind depends on how people breathe. It as breathing determines a work of the human mind. A human with fast thinking automatically breathes fast. Conversely, quiet breathing leads to quiet thoughts. The reality is sensed more naturally in that case. To my great regret, certain programs are inculcated now in the society to enslave mankind. We might even cut this information out, but that's what's running on. Since the early 30s of the 20th century, some researches had been conducted to show the following. To have a man enslaved, his consciousness has to be sectioned, so that no solid information can be conceived. Only some information of this size, for example. For instance, an enumeration of some magnitudes is given as an assignment. So, if a human is not able to contain the task in his consciousness, any chances to solve it? And mankind is being specifically prepared so that only a part of the task, beginning, middle part, or the ending, can be seen. Therefore, a human being is not able to perceive the information because of certain energy of the wave nature. If you feel like, search for some information regarding the music influence on the human consciousness. Trust me, you will be very much surprised. Over the past 50 years, actually already a bit more than 60 years, I think since 1954, certain principles in the mass media that make people listen to some certain rhythms have been adopted, and these particular rhythms lead to the particular functioning of the human consciousness. Just Google the influence of music on people, or the influence of the music vibration on people, or something of that kind, and take my word, you will find some information on the topic. So, if you can manage to calm down your mind with the help of pranayama, you will not be subjected to the present. If you can manage to calm down your mind with the help of pranayama, you will not be subjected to the present social influence. Quite possibly, the calmer you are, the easier you can resolve the puzzles that your life poses for you. At this point, any questions, comments, suggestions? Perhaps, at least all the blockbusters, these pictures which are rapidly changing fast, so that the crowd in the cinema laps it up and just stares at it, as at an idiot box. Its energy breaks through, unfortunately. So, friends, could you repeat the question, please? The question was following, that not only music but also all modern art is directed to limit human thinking, so that a man does not have to be bothered by thinking, and he cares only for what is imposed by certain institutes in this world. So, pranayama apanasati hinayana. How to practice. You extend your breathing to the moment of discomfort. You exhale for 5 seconds, inhale for 6, exhale for 6, inhale for 7, exhale for 7, inhale for 8, etc. Stretch out our breath cycle to the point you feel that the body wants to breathe badly, and you keep that level. For someone, it takes 15 seconds to inhale and 15 seconds to exhale. For another one, 40 seconds to inhale and 40 seconds to exhale. It's different for everyone. But if you reach that limit that which your body feels and practice it regularly every second day or even every day, which is better, then take my word, you can see yourself from another perspective.
Certainly, it is important to master your body before pranayama practice. That is, your body can sit still with a straight back for at least half an hour. But in fact, I'm saying half an hour for those who are making the first steps on the path of self-development. At least 45 minutes. 45 minutes pranayama practice is the beginning of what you can be talked with somebody about the pranayama itself. A half an hour is enough to say that you're done well, of course, but bear it for a little bit longer. Of course, your legs suffer. Do you know why your legs suffer? He may answer that he has injured his leg in his childhood and that's the reason. It is not, my friends. While practicing pranayama, your legs get sick just because there is the place of certain karma accumulation. Ayurvedic practitioners who work with people say so, because many legs diseases have a direct correlation with karma in man's legs. Accordingly, if you gradually change the work of your consciousness and stop producing new karma, then your legs will get much better. It is interconnected. So, your karma located in the legs will not let you sit still for sure. That's why Hatha Yoga exists. Practice Hatha Yoga and bear a little bit of the discomfort that you can tolerate on your level. When you perform an asana, do not enjoy it. No. Of course, if you attend a yoga class in the Western society, in the United States, where a cool yoga is being taught, would be cool, and will be told that yoga is a pleasure. Come to asana and enjoy. No. As a matter of fact, according to the scripts, yoga has always been an asceticism. Asceticism for a practitioner. Come to asana and enjoy. No. As a matter of fact, according to the scripts, yoga has always been an asceticism for a practitioner. So, my friends, if you have some problems with the legs, try to bear it, at least for 5 minutes every day. Let's assume you sit for half an hour, and by the end of half an hour, your problems with legs start. Try to sit for 35 minutes next day. The last 5 minutes, you will experience discomfort, then get out of practice. But always bear a bit of discomfort while practicing pranayama. Gradually, you will increase the range of practice that you can afford. For example, my experience, it takes me around 3 to 4 hours to start feeling the discomfort in legs. It definitely happens due to my social life. I deliver a lot of lectures, whole different events. Sometimes when I over-socialize with people, I have a state of legs that pain comes after half an hour. It means I have actually over-socialized. And then some effort ought to be put to get back to the level of practice where I can feel fine. So, a straight back, how to achieve, is understood. It is Hatha Yoga, right? If you can practice, you can sit back and you have no pain in legs, then if you go at least to the level of 40 seconds breath holding, it took me 45 seconds, and that is when I reached the level of 45 seconds inhale, 45 seconds exhale, I was able to get out of the body. Perhaps someone, if one has more experience in such practices, one need much less. You may possibly get out at 25 seconds, some may need 2 minutes. Different schools here in India, for example, pose different tasks for different students. For instance, I know one school where a newcomer is asked, "You want to practice pranayama? Excellent. When your breath holding reaches 45 seconds, I made a sleep. 45 minutes. When your breath holding reaches 45 minutes, then we can chat about serious things. What talk to you about if your breath holding is under 45 minutes? There is this kind of approach, my friends. This is indeed the case. It asked, if you intend to achieve some particular realization, it will never be easy for you. It is easy to live in society and be a slave. It is really easy. Feeding is on time, and who cares that people die at the age of 50 years old, as long as they go to the cinemas, right? And alcohol is on sale. And they have some freedom and choice between 3 kinds of beer, and there are 5 types of alcohol. Can you imagine? Not just 1, but exactly 5. And why it is alcohol which is offered to them, not fruit drinks or non
non-alcoholic mead, which were always in our tartars from the beginning. After all, someone takes an advantage of what is being on sale. Fine, let's stop here with the social issues. And let's get back to pranayama. I'll repeat once again, straight back is important, as well as a nice atmosphere around. Why I recommend you this place to practice? I can assure you with 90% of confidence that the Buddha calmed down his mind with this technique in this place, and he succeeded. We stay here for 2 more evenings and 1 full day. If you can sit and practice tomorrow, then it's possible you'll advance in your legs. You are correct in stating that it's easier for you to perform the asanas, and trust me, if you sit with your back straight in these places, your pain will be less, your pranayama will run easier. So try to use a gracious place for your pranayama. Of course, there are no such places in Russia, but there are beautiful forests, gorgeous Caucasus you possess in Russia. Take contrast, Caucasus is in no way inferior to Himalayas. Some people think, I'll go to the Himalayas and do some yoga. My experience shows that the Russian people have nothing better than Russia. Coming to the Himalayas, take my word, it will take you a month to get acclimatized. Then I can assure you, you will be treated from what you get infected for a long time. This is the norm, unfortunately. In addition, the locals will not let you normally practice. If the locals get to know that there is a white man who sits somewhere in the ashram and practices, believe me, once a day there will be a delegate with some request or a wish or an attempt to take a picture with you, etc. You will not have peace, I can assure you. Therefore, an ideal option is Caucasus. I assure you, the energy of the Caucasus is no worse than the Himalayas. So, if you have a chance, go there. We have created a yoga camp aura for looking people from Russia, so you can come and practice affordably. Good places. It's affordable money-wise. It asks, we are ready not to take any organization fee from you, only so that you can come and be engaged into yourself. This is a social project for Russian awakening, to awaken those people who want to take the path of self-improvement. Come and practice. A clean place, straight back, and no interfering factors. It asks, if you're not sure that you are let half an hour to sit, you'd better go away to the place where you are let sit for an hour. Whether there won't be distractions from animals or people or anyone else. One must not practice pranayama in the presence of pets. They will certainly feel and will intend to come to you, sit on your lap, lick you, etc. Lead the animal away to another room for some time and practice on your own. There are clearly will be some chipmunks, ground squirrels in the forest. Send them off to sit somewhere far away. Well, prepare the full range of some seeds. In the meadow, let them eat with the birds over there, and you can calmly do some practice. Next, the technique itself is understood. We stretch out the breath. Sometimes the question is asked, how to get out of the practice? It's very simple. If you feel that's it, time to get back, start to slowly increase the amplitude in the opposite direction. Initially, your exhale will last, for example, 40 seconds, then 30, then 25, then 15, then 10, and quietly return to calm breathing rhythms. Fine? Besides, what to eat while practicing pranayamas? Of course, most of this lecture's audience are meat eaters. To my great regret, you were born in such a world that you are accustomed to eat meat. If you read the Vedic scriptures, I can assure you, you will find examples of Shudras only eating meat. Knights might have eaten meat in extreme cases only. Meat eating in pranayama practice is a big sleep. If you are a normal social person and can afford to eat vegetarian, try to give up meat for the duration of pranayama practice. I will explain why. In the first stage, meat gives a quick energy that you are uplifted, but afterwards its poisons pull down. On the one hand, it will be a quick burst of energy, but then poisons in your guts will lead you in a completely different world during pranayama. Imagine two people. One carries meat in his guts, it has poisons, toxins, ptomaine. The other one does some fruits that do not have all this. And they both enter the subtle world. How do you think the poisons contained in the guts will affect the world in which they find themselves? I assure you, it will affect a lot. Man with meat in his guts finds himself in the world that he is unlikely to enjoy. Therefore, pranayamas are not recommended to be used by meat eaters. There is such a thought. Tibetans say that they make an offer vegetarian of meat, etc. Friends, read 100,000 songs of Milarepa, where Milarepa specifically addresses to Tibetans like this: you, corpse eaters, what kind of yoga you are talking about? What kind of realization you want to achieve when you live by corpses? If you read, Milarepa actually ate mainly grains. Some translators say that villagers had brought him some meat, but once again, Milarepa could afford meat with his level of development. At the same time, he was accompanied to a cave for the winter time. He sat all winter in a cave without using those reserves which were brought for him there. He has, for example, a few bags of grain. Some other food was brought for him. He did not even use them, as he was fed by the Kinis. Goddesses from other worlds flew to feed him. This is a fact. But he was at such a level that he could actually change the space and time. So he could eat everything. Read the book The Autobiography of a Yogi by Yogananda Paramhansa. There is a very important passage. There was a yogi who was reputed as a complete fool and considered an idiot who could curse. And Paramhansa Yogananda with his friends decided to check out what kind of siddha an incredible yogi he was. They came at his place, and the fact is that the people of India are very well aware that the Brahmins ought to be talked to very prudently, because the word of a Brahmin is stronger than a bullet. If you can dodge a bullet, you cannot do ever from the word of Brahmin, because Brahmin has tapas. If Brahmin will tell you that your behavior is bad, consider that you'll catch a hell sooner or later. Scriptures say about it, so that the people of India, as though has the knowledge, the Brahmins ought to be treated very carefully, with the maximum of respect, without making them angry. Nevertheless, they were young and decided to go and check out this so-called yogi, because it was actually a mistake. He was said to eat some meat. Once they arrived, he told them, well, he knew they would come to check him, and he decided to make a show. He said, there is a floating corpse in a backwater. It got recently thrown out and hasn't become swollen yet. Take a knife, cut the meat from the thigh, and bring it to me. They all fell down at once, understanding that they all had got screwed. Nevertheless, they went there, cut off a piece of meat with their eyes closed. Eyes closed because touching the meat, but they cut a piece of thigh and brought it to the yogi. He made a fire, threw the meat on the fire, and began to cook. The smell was, they all think, oh my god, we are screwed, and escape was no longer possible. In case of an escape attempt, they would have 100% caught a hell. Well, they were sitting there and waiting what would happen next. In some time, the yogi opens up the dish, stirs it, recites some mantras, adds some herbs. In some more time, he tells them, time to eat, bring up some utensils. They all think, oh my god, we are screwed, because for a Brahmin, and they were a Brahmin, it is they were born in a Brahmin family. Eating meat for them is equivalent to a crime. After its committing, they would wash out themselves for a long time. But when he opened the lid, there was no meat. There was rice with sweets, and he put them out of the pot, where they threw the meat with their own hands. He pulled out a sweet rice and he fed them. It is these yogis that can change the energy and change the direction of the matter. As per their wish, they can eat meat. If you do not have such siddhas, I do not recommend you meat eating. Experience shows that you have nothing to lose if you give up meat, I can assure you. Read some books by Shatalava, by Marva Oganyan. These are people who have studied the issue in and out. For example, Marva Oganyan worked as a biologist, a biochemist, and physician therapist. She's a professional who knows the subject in and out. Read the books, you can easily find them in internet. So, friends, let's get back to yoga. If you eat meat, consider that you will encounter those poisons and toxins that you carry in your inner world. Therefore, it is recommended to practice pranayama without internal poisons. There are tantra practitioners and so-called yogis who say, Shiva used to smoke up, and why cannot we do the same? I assure you, any intoxicating substances that you use will work against you. If possible, do not stupefy yourself with anything.
something. Yes, you eat mushrooms and you get some certain experience, but this experience will spend your tapas and you'll get the experience of the worlds one is unlikely to enjoy. Let's imagine the following situation. You have a choice. For example, fly to the center of the galaxy and visit the subtle world where the world of flowers reside. Let's imagine the following situation. You have a choice. For example, fly to the center of the galaxy and visit the subtle world where the world of flavors resides, where creatures like aromas live, and chat with them. Or, considering fairy tales, fairies live. You have the ability to fly like that to that planet. The second ship will take you to another world of human beings where exactly the same warriors and problems are. Well, you'll see another world of man. You know where the third ship will bring you to? Where are we having a war in the human world now? Syria is being hammered now, right? Here you get chance. Close eyes. Open them. Here you are at the battlefield in Syria. There are projectiles flying by. There you will be shouted at, "Oh, Infidel is here. Come here, my dear. We're going to love you now, yeah?" What do you choose? Who wants to get to Syria? So, meat eaters with poisons inside, yet in a subtle experience, can get into such a world that, trust me, they'll be shaken up for a long time. It is extreme caution should be taken to prepare for pranayamas. This part, any additions, comments, disagreements? Different schools, different preparation. If, for example, you have had a lot of experience in pranayamas from your past lives, you intuitively can feel that everything goes right for you. But once again, keep in mind that you are poisoned by society badly. There is unfortunately a big problem. There are Slavic native faith followers, and I've recently watched a video with the Father Alexander, who is the head of the Inklings, saying the following: Hindus do not eat meat, right? But we can have some meat normally. My granny used to cook pig's fat for me. My friends, well, it's clear that his grandmother cooked it, but for some reason he smokes and now leads a lifestyle that, mildly speaking, is far away from being healthy. If you want to repeat his way, follow his recommendations. The scriptures say that Shudras only eat meat. I have some friends from the north. They live in Perm. They live in Perm. Perm, you know where is it? So it is said to be a very cold place, but they have already been vegetarians for a decade. No problem. You can live in any different regions of Russia without meat. Who else might not hear it, please understand. Meat eating is a system of the mankind enslavement. People who consume meat, they become fearful. And it is beneficial for those who are sitting on the top of the pyramid. Concept is understood, no? In short, to make it simpler, when an animal is killed, you know what it feels? It gets through an animal terror. It cries struggling, and all its blood penetrates the animal. Those who eat meat with blood, they absorb the fear of those animals that they eat. And you are what you eat. It's very, very important. Answering the question, the inhabitants of the far north have nothing but meat to eat. My dear friends, what I'm about to say will not be tolerated, but the fact is that if they are reincarnated in such circumstances that they have nothing but meat, it's almost a sentence. There they were born in circumstances they are given seal meat only. What's their karma of next life? What do you think? Oh dear, you understand that there is a system that just makes a person reincarnate further on. If you are reincarnating in a country where you want to say that you living in Russia cannot afford to create the conditions to live without meat? Yes, I assure you it's easy. When, for example, democracy came to Russia and the stores were empty, and that was the time when we with guys started to practice. It was hard with food, but still, it was possible to be vegetarian those days. Not a problem. There is a technique that allows. Or you were born, for example, in the Republic of Kalmykia, where Buddhism is spread, but they are all carnivores. It is their karma that they were born in this country with the custom of meat eating. I answered your question? Yes? Oh?
The question is the interval between inhalation and exhalation. There are no breath delays, either puraka or richaka in this pranayama. Inhale starts immediately after an exhale without any delay. You stretch out breath without any delay of breathing. Fine? Most of pranayamas you can find in the internet, etc. There is an emphasis on a breath halt, and it is correct and normal for those pranayamas. There is no delay in this pranayama. How to increase? Either a volume of the breathing or stretching out the breath time. You have to do both at the same time, because if you try to practice this pranayama and reach more than 25 seconds, believe me, your body will breathe to the limits. While inhaling, you'll almost grow in heights, and exhaling, you'll squeeze the maximum to inhale maximum after that. Body knows itself how to survive, do not worry. In addition, someone will say, what if something suddenly happens to me? I'll get a stroke or something. My friends, if you're not sure that you are a healthy person, first go to see your doctor and say that I want to do some exercises of the yoga gymnastics to practice breathing. Can I? Is my heart fine? Stroke cannot happen to me? If the doctor tells you there is no danger to you, then go and perform safely. If you suspect that you may have a heart problem as per your karma, please do not practice the technique I'm talking about. In short, see your doctor first, as they say in the West, to absolve themselves of any responsibility and then do yoga. Well, seriously, you understand that if you have a karma to get some complication, you'll get it even living in society. On the other hand, if you do not engage in pranayama, you may miss out a very different factor in your development in this life. Your fate can get changed thanks to pranayama, but if you have a health problem, you cannot practice. Everybody got it? If there are no health problems, you can gently practice these techniques. Yes. No, the inverted asanas practiced before pranayama is absurd. Inverted asanas are to be done after pranayama, because if you stand in an inverted asana, you need to lie down twice as much as your upside down position lasted. That's for beginners. Got that? If you keep an inverted asana for 15 minutes, then you need to lie down for half an hour. This is once again, I'm saying to those who make their first steps in yoga. Many yogis who are the SS don't make difference. Downwards or upwards position, that's the same. They can do anything, but for the beginners, and we are now recording this video for the beginners, be sure to do inverted asanas after pranayama. Moreover, pranayama, which is practiced before going to bed, affects your energy. So, your bedtime pranayama should be relaxed, stretching and calming. If there is a good breath delay, you can accumulate so much of energy that you won't fall asleep. And most likely, you will need to deal with social life, to work, to go to the office, right? Most likely. Therefore, it is better to stick to this option. Strong pranayamas are to be practiced in the morning. Pranayama with a stretched breathing is good for morning. Cannot you get up 1 hour and a half earlier and practice pranayama for 1 hour and a half? I can assure you, thanks to pranayama, you will get energized so much that you will run like a clockwork all day, and you will still have a lot of energy in the evening. It works, but better in the morning. But it will have a calming and changing energy effect in the evening. Let's say you are dealing with different people. A lot of different energies are brought up in your aura. Of course, you need to come home and be cleansed. If you are not going to do this, you will always wake up a little bit different person. Yes, more questions? Yes, louder please, hard to hear because of the birds. Louder, cannot hear anything. Yes. When you do this pranayama, count in seconds in your mind. 1, 2, 3, clear, right? No worries, this pranayama is in general, everything will be fine. Will not help. It's possible, but believe me, on certain moments, once your breath stretching is already long, your heart will hammer very often, and you will count fast. Therefore, it is better to be guided by the heart to start pranayama easier. Heart will initially have a slow and normal beat. When the amplitude is longer, it will accelerate. It is normal. After all, you should rely on your heartbeat. Of course, on one hand, it is an indulgence. But why to push it? Do you have to die tomorrow or what? No. So quietly, slowly move on, everything will be fine. Yes? Pranayama in the city? I'll repeat the question. What if you cannot sit in a clean place? You live in the city, you have a flat, there are odd things around. I also live in the city sometimes. When I'm engaged in some social activities in Moscow, I cannot live in the eco-village. I have to go to people and work on them. I may have a good karma. I have a nice balcony facing a good park. I sit down on the balcony, open up the window and start to practice pranayama. One can say it's -20 outside, then how to practice? Agree, pranayama cannot last long at -20, and you can always open up the door to the room, take an air in and practice. You may ask me what to do with the surrounding energies. There are a drug addict beneath, an alcoholic on top, blockbusters are watched on the right, left, etc. Friends, this is karma on your stage of development. If you do practice even in these conditions, you are actually going to change not only your karma, but also the one of the people around you. Of course, you do not believe that the drug addict Peter, for example, suddenly stops taking drugs, but he may not stop. If that's the case, he just dies. It will get either for you. This is his choice. Nevertheless, your austerity of pranayama can affect his outlook, but your karma allows you to practice in these conditions only. Please understand correctly. All the problems that come to you come according to your karma. Alcoholic Peter, drug addict Vasya, etc. Some lustful people from your right or left. Understand, if you have these people at your house, then a lustful boy who worked in the sex industry in the past, and in this life he's a biological membrane which stares at sex pictures on the screen. You cannot even imagine what kind of atmosphere throughout the house he will create. One boy. But the fact is, it is your karma that he creates a problem for you. I'll explain in the 2 words what kind of atmosphere. He will provide power to the lust of the whole house, almost. Because let's consider, I'll give an example. Idealistic situation. 200 apartments in the house. There are the altars of different religions in every of 200 apartments. But the altars and people that live there focus on the right things. Can you imagine?
As what was the main idea the most of the saints spoke about? Kindness, compassion. I'm not mentioning any religions that speak of other things. Such religions exist as well. We're all adults here, you know what I'm talking about. But if you take the commonly spread religions that teach more or less love to, for instance, a neighbor, believe me, this house is full of goodness, though they will concentrate on different altars. You see what I mean? And practice in such places is practically nirvana for you. Imagine another situation, the so-called democracy where, well, people kill themselves. They are given every possible opportunity to kill themselves. Naturally, your practice is poor in such conditions. But in this case, if you survive, and once you find yourself in a clean place, believe me, you will immediately catch your breakthrough. It is your practice in a social environment will be your austerity and your preparation. And when you get in a clean place, you will get an instant breakthrough in this place. Clear? Any questions, comments? Yes? The question is about a synchronization of the heart and respiration. Of course, it's norm. If you are already such an advanced yogi, and you will have 2 minds engaged. One mind tracks the timer, got me? The second mind ensures that this one is not distracted on anything else, and you can gradually come to it. Indeed, you can simultaneously run multiple flows of consciousness, several minds working simultaneously. It is possible, it's not a fairy tale. Well, my friends, yes?
Yes, or leave everything behind and shift to a clean place. I'm repeating the question. So the question is it worth living a good, fully satisfied, economic-wise life in Germany and go to a clean place? The question comes from Germany. Or shift to the nature and work on increasing offspring? There will be a different answer for different categories of people. If you are at the level of artisans, businessmen, perhaps you'd better leave everything behind and move. If you are more of a warrior spirit, it is better to stay and occupy yourself with information warfare. Because as per experience, if you do not shift to a clean place, and there are so many examples of that, you will no longer be engaged in yoga. You will not feel like developing anymore. You will work physically all the time. Your living will occupy almost all the time. Even in winter, there are many examples. We too have a lovely eco-village where I can live quite carefree. I'll be happy, I guess. But could I, with my happiness, help someone? Yes, I'm fine, but how will it affect those people with whom I'm karmically connected? So I leave my happiness and head to the society. But this is my way, and you may need to create a certain basis somewhere for yourself and be engaged into profession or business. Build up your own happiness. And if you realize that you have already managed to build your happiness up, try to deal with the problems of others. But experience shows that the eco-village is not a solution because, well, how to put it, you still have the opportunity to help others. If any war breaks, and perhaps it may begin as the society is pushed to it a lot, you will have no opportunities anymore. And if a war breaks out, trust me on this, all eco-villages will be cracked at once. I answered your question? So, as long as you have the opportunity to be engaged in information warfare, do not miss this opportunity. Then you'll kick yourself, but it will be too late. Nobody will be able to help. Yes? Change, yeah, they are stronger. That's how it is. They are stronger. I'm repeating the question. If you still cannot manage to convince your friends, that's just because you still don't have enough of realization. You haven't yet accumulated anything with yoga. You are still a theorist. Try to become stronger on one of the aspects of the way. Try to be an example for others. If your friends see that you are doing all well, and it is, if you do yoga, if you take up a common sense, if you are into self-knowledge sufficiently, things around you will get well gradually. There is a very important concept on this subject. Why your lives can be changed for the better. Because the gods are concerned with the appearing of those people in the society who can be a leading light for others. Those who will not throw words about high truth around, and who can be an example of health, who abandon bad habits. Those who are example for others, who give birth to healthy children, given an example by themselves. Just trust, then you will be heard. In addition, all obstacles that arise are the reflection of your negative karma. There is a concept. If you are prescribed a certain pain experience in purgatory, speaking conventionally, well, you have already produced some karma and you got a booked ticket, for example, to the purgatory. Then there will be certain situations formed that won't allow you to practice yoga. You will be told, you stupid or you simpleton, what kind of rubbish you're into, stop doing all that nonsense, yogis are damned sectarians. You'd better turn on the TV, watch the news. Do you understand? You become sectarians at all. They will be eager to tell you all that because as per your karma you have to stay in the train you are in. But you are being taken to the slaughterhouse. I explained it clearly. Changing yourself is the best option. Besides, you know, I went through the same problems you are getting through now, but I was too stubborn. Probably because of my pride, I could not afford to agree with someone or leave a carnivore chance to live on as a meat-eater. I argued and argued and argued, and gradually I noticed that fewer and fewer people I have to argue with come to my life, and more like-minded people come with whom I'm on the same page with. So, if the gods can see that you are not actually an indifferent person, why do you have to be dashed against meat-eaters? It's much better to build relationship with normal people. There will be fewer people around you that can cause you troubles, and there will appear more of those who, on the contrary, will be your saboteurs. Next question. You raised your hand? Well, it was a lecture about pranayamas. If you have not noticed, but the fact is that if we do not consider social problems, you'll practice pranayama in... It's a lie. It has... I'll lead you to run into the wall and you'll be thrown back. This is the worst. Yes? Question. Which pranayama is the calmest for the evening? This pranayama we have been talking about is an ideal one. Just do not go to the discomfort zone when your body is going to shake. Got that? Reach the level where you are comfortable and go a little bit far from that. A little bit. Not to enjoy, because enjoying pranayama is a waste of energy. Everybody got it? If you experience a sense of euphoria practicing pranayama, consider that your tops are open and energy is being flowed away. Try to experience a bearable discomfort. It will not be easy. Those people who are hooked on traveling to other planets. Did you hear me? You understood it? Pranayama helps fall into another subtle world where the person is almost a god he can create there. He is taken as an idol. Half a year later, he is bound to get another experience. I do not wish to give extreme examples, but it is better not to play around with pleasure, even in pranayamas. It's better to keep a bearable austerity, then it will be all fine. Self-control, in short, should be in everything. Yes, both inhaling and exhaling, because you see, you have a smooth inhale. You will want to inhale faster and you will want to exhale faster. There will be an austerity in first and second cases, but we are talking about the morning practice. In the evening, your austerity should be comfortable. Well, this is clear. Just calm down the mind, as it said. No, you'd better warm up your body with asanas to activate the energy. Then work on pranayama. Then lie in bed, practice inverted asanas, then shavasana till morning. And in the morning, if you feel cheerful, you are up in the morning and feel good, yes, probably pranayama, then asanas, and then social life. If you are up and it's hard for you, then asanas, so you do not fall asleep during pranayama, and then pranayama. Very good. Kapalabhati, Agnisara Kriya work very well in the morning. Yes, yes, absolutely. Try out to keep a journal. Supposedly, today you perform such and such complex, say Kapalabhati, Agnisara, then Apanasati, then complex. And let's say keep it up for a few days. Then make your changes and always describe the results of the day. How you live the day, the developments of the day, what was at the end of the day, how you felt, etc. And gradually get most adequate algorithm for yourself. Because everyone is getting through different problems. We all have different karmic limitations, so you cannot say there is the only way to do and everything will be fine. Social life imposes restrictions, unfortunately. What questions popped up? Regarding the legs, a very good question. How could I completely forget about it? There are people who sit like this and say, I'm practicing pranayama, or he's been taught like that. Yes? Of course, they will get a certain result. Friends, if you have an active Apanavayu, it will take you 2-3 times longer to achieve results in pranayama. Got that? When you sit on a chair or cross-legged like that, your Apanavayu is on. You absorb the energy, but your Apanavayu still becomes stronger. You do not understand. You absorb prana, you intensify your energy. Apanavayu gets intensified as any other one. Not clear? Sorry, but it has to be explained. Those of you who understand what I'm saying, they understood the point. There are 5 types of energy that allow you to live in society. Apanavayu, it is a very important energy. It is Apanavayu which is responsible for many things being evacuated from your body. But most important, it's an anchor for your mind. Strong Apanavayu never lets you experience the subtle things in your mind itself. It is almost like an anchor. The man whose legs cannot bend mostly has a particular worldview. This, unfortunately, is not my opinion. This is a bitter experience. Therefore, if you take a seat in any asana with legs crossed, even in Siddhasana, if one of your feet blocks the downwards flow, the effect of your pranayama will be twice better than doing it this way. You get your experience 2 times faster, you know. You can tell, not a big deal, I don't mind doing pranayama a bit longer. Friends, you can say yes. If you are destined to get engaged in Apanasati pranayama and achieve certain realizations, you will reach it in 10 years. But if you sit like this, you'll need, let's say, 15 or 20 years. Imagine 15 years of practice or 10. These 5 years of life is a different form. I don't intend to scare you. If you can achieve the realization in yoga, your form of life will be completely different, a priori. Well, I do not want to burden you religiously, as the saying goes, but it is. Quality of your life will get changed. You are saying that asanas were performed better here. Well, see, we started the day with the morning practice in Mahakala cave. We managed to practice well. Here, under the Bodhi tree, respectively, we continued the practice. And of course, the progress is there. I know for myself, the more you are in these places, the more you progress in the internal practices. Physical body is probably 15% of success, but if you try to calm down your mind or try to reach a certain calm dialogue, it is possible. At least as per our experience, many of our guys who tried to practice in these places, they succeeded. And the day after tomorrow, we will head to the Gridrakuta mountain, where we will have a special day where you can stay alone on the mountain and practice. There are several caves, but most often a lot of tourists come there, and there will be no peace, but still, it is possible to sit down there and practice, and it is possible to spread around there, as the Gridrakuta mountain is one of the mountains where a system of self-developing flourished at that time, and accordingly, one can practice there.